Welcome to my video. So we're just gonna go through first all the books that I read in April, and then we will continue on to the books I hope to read in May. We're gonna go through my April wrap up in the order I read them. So let's get on to it. The first book I read in April was All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. You guys know by now, I am a Colleen Hoover stan, love the woman. That being said, All Your Perfects was not my favorite. I do have a review on this book if you want a more in-depth, but pretty much this book is a dual, not point of view, but timeline. Give me 1 second. I just realized my AC is on and that's probably making horrible noise. Okay, I am so sorry for that. Okay, back to what I was saying. All Your Perfects follows Quinn and Graham, who are a married couple, and it flashes between when they're falling in love and when their marriage is falling apart. I read this in one night. I really did enjoy it. I ended up rating it a 4 out of 5, but it's not my favorite Colleen Hoover book. Yeah, All Your Perfects made me cry, but it wasn't my favorite. So I ended up rating it 4 out of 5. The next book I read was for school. It was for my creative writing class, and I hated every minute of it, which is Will You Please Be Quiet Please by Raymond Carver. It is pretty much just this collection of Raymond Carver's short stories, and I wouldn't say it was bad. I would say it wasn't for me. Each story kind of dives into characters doing something they're not supposed to do, and then they have this realization that they're not supposed to be doing it, but the gratification they get from doing it and not being caught is like so amazing that they want to continue doing it. And that's pretty much the premise for most of these stories. There was one I kind of liked at the beginning. The Father. The sixth short story is called The Father, and it is like very short. It's like 2 pages, and it was my favorite out of this whole book, and that is saying something because I thought it was just okay. And it's not that it wasn't good, because I think what he was doing is very unique and creative, but something about his writing is that nothing happens, and I was so bored reading this, especially short story after short story where nothing was happening. And I understand you're not supposed to read short stories straight, like the entire collection, but again, for a class, I had to, and it was very boring for me, so I ended up rating this 1 star. The next book I read and rated was also for class, but this one got a much higher rating, and that was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, a classic, if you will. If you don't know the story of Frankenstein, have you lived? Even if you haven't read the book, you know Frankenstein. I'll be that quirky kid right now and be like, Frankenstein, he wasn't the monster, he was the scientist. Get it right. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley was amazing. I didn't think I would enjoy this book so much. And by the way, the book ends here. So it's not a long book. It's that much. It is literally 161 pages. So it's a pretty short book. This is just analysis. If this size of book was scaring you. I do think that this is one of the classics I've read that I've actually enjoyed. And I really liked it. It deals a lot with morality and revenge. And it's just, the vibe is immaculate. Like, the vibes are immaculate in this book. I never thought I'd read this book and want to give the creature a big hug. Like, all I wanted to do, especially through volume 2, I just wanted to like jump through the pages and like give the creature a hug. And I didn't think I'd ever say that. But Frankenstein by Mary Shelley was amazing. I understand the hype as if this book didn't come out in like 1818 or something. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley ended up rating it 5 stars, as it deserves, and I really kind of want to read more Mary Shelley, to be honest. The next book I read in April was one I kind of regret reading and not listening to, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved this book, but I sampled the audiobook for it and I instantly regretted buying the paperback. And no, I was not going to spend another $12.99 for the audiobook. Like, we're on a budget here. I really did enjoy this book. Daisy Jones and the Six is about these rock stars, and Daisy Jones is a singer and the Six is a band, like a rock band. And they end up coming together for this album because together they are much better than they are apart. But there's a bunch of drama, some people have beef with each other, there's romances, there's feelings, there's anger, there's everything. Anything that you would think would be in a 70s rock band, they had it. The drugs, the romances, the hookups, the songs, I don't know, but it's all here. And I think that the way that this book is organized is so unique, because it is like written like a like an oral documentary. It's written as if they're just being interviewed for this documentary. So it will start off with like italicized for the narrator, and then it will go into each character, and it will be like Billy Dune, and then it will have his words, like his interview, and it goes back and forth. And I think something really interesting about this is that because we're only getting the recollection through their own words, nothing is clear. There's these misconceptions because different people, they see things differently and they experience things differently and they felt things differently. These little minor misinformations that each character is giving us is so intriguing, and I just loved every second of it. It deserves to be in Reese's book club. And in the end, I rated Daisy Jones and the Six 5 stars. And the last book I read in April was Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Side note, I do have a reading vlog and review of this on YouTube if you wanted a deeper evaluation of my thoughts. Beautiful World, Where Are You is about these two roommates from college, and they're in their late 30s and they're living separate lives, and it flashes between each of their lives, but also between letters that they write each other. The letters, especially at the beginning, are so dense, and the topics that they discuss in the letters are so heavy that it's so hard to get through them. I also found myself really dreading one of the main characters' lives because I did not care about Alice, one of the main characters, and I only cared about the other main character, Eileen. Out of the like 4, I guess, points of view in the entire book, I only ever cared when it was Eileen, but it was Eileen's life. So that was rough. I do think that this is a beautiful book because Sally Rooney, love her, she's amazing. But I think that it just wasn't my type of book. I was very bored, especially at the beginning. I really got into it around page 150-ish, but it was a struggle to get to page 150. But in the end, I think it ended beautifully, if there wasn't the last 2 chapters about COVID. I ended up rating it a 3 stars, and I'm happy with that decision. And with that, we have wrapped up my April wrap up. April is wrapped up. Now on to our lovely TBR. Let's get into it. Books I want to read in May. Most of these I want to read before I leave to go home for summer, because I'm currently in college. This is my dorm. But the first book I want to read is Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare, because I hate myself. Enough said. The next book I want to read has been on my TBR for so long. I think it's in my last TBR video, which I think was in February, but I also think it might have been in my January TBR as well, because it just keeps being pushed back because I just haven't been in the mood for fantasy lately. But that is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It is about these 6 people in her fantasy Grishaverse, which is her fantasy world. And they are criminals that kind of come together and they do crime together, I think. I'm not exactly sure. I have seen the Shadow and Bone TV show, and so I love the characters that are in the show, but I really want to read this before season 2 comes out, but I just haven't been motivated to read fantasy. I'm hoping that I can read this on the train ride home for summer vacation. I'm scared I'm not going to want to, but I'm gonna have to, because I really want to read this book And I will in May. Or it will get pushed back to my June TBR. We will wait and see. The next book I have is another Reese's Book Club book. So that's exciting. I think that that'd be fun to read them all. I don't know. Has anyone read them all? Like, comment down below if you've read them all. But the next book is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. And it is about these two women named Alex and Amira, I think. And Amira is Alex's babysitter or nanny. I don't really know the difference. And it deals with Amira being mistaken as like the kidnapper of Alex's child, I believe. And that's all I know about it. I'm kind of excited for it, especially because it's in Reese's Book Club, but also because it got a lot of hype back in the book talk days. I don't know if I'll get to this because this is one of the last ones I want to read that I checked out from the library, because I'm a library kind of gal. Don't know if I'll get to this, but it is on my TBR, and it is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. These last two books are the book that I just started and the one I'm reading next, and I'm so excited for that. So the book I'm reading next is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vaughn, and I am excited for it. It is a series of letters that a son writes to his mother who cannot read, and it's pretty much him, I think, telling his life to her, like all the things she would never know about her son, but since she can't read them, she still doesn't really know, but he is telling her. You know, like there's that level of like trust and vulnerability, even though she can't read them. And I am so excited to read this. I heard it is beautifully written, and it's not that long. I think it's 250 pages. So I am hoping to read this in May, and I cannot wait because it just looks so gorgeous. And the book that I just started, I'm currently on page 62. I've added to my May TBR because it is almost May and I know I won't finish this in April. And that is Clara and the Sun by Kazo Isha, and it is good so far. It is about a AF, which is an artificial friend in this dystopian world that ends up being bought by this little girl named Josie, and Josie is who she's supposed to be best friends with. And that is all I will say. I think it's really interesting to have an AI as the main character, and so far I am in love. I kind of want to just devour this tonight. I have, I think, 250 pages left of this book, so I might just stay up really late tonight and read it all because I am so into it so far. And I have not read any of Kazo Ishiguro. I think that's how you say his name. I have read none of their novels, but this is really good. And I ended up finding out that they also wrote Never Let Me Go, which is a book that a movie was made out of starring Andrew Garfield, which I enjoyed. So I really want to read that book too because I love his writing style. I will probably check it out. And with that, my May TBR is complete. There goes Shakespeare. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to tune in next week on Sunday for a new video. And if you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts down below. I'd be so eager to hear them. Have a wonderful day. Bye.